Hey, welcome back. It's still a thirsty Thursday, but personally I'm not that thirsty anymore, but I'm going to keep it going for the rest of hour two. We're going to breeze right through it. Before we get into one of my favorite guests, Frankie, yesterday I was at the bocce tournament, as I mentioned earlier, and so many
stopped by there with the Crypto Cowboy. That was a lot of fun.
Were coming up to me and saying, hey, we've been watching Liquid Lunch. And I found out that we have a whole bunch of loyal viewers over at Investors Bank.
Oh.
My friend Matty Langella told me that and his father-in-law, John Zappello, is apparently like a really loyal viewer, watches it every day. If he's not watching it, he's DVRing it. So Johnny Z, thank you for tuning in. And speaking of friends, one of my favorite friends, from my favorite millennial indeed, is Pavlina Osta. She joins us today. And she's the host of If God Had a Podcast, and she also works for Salem Media, and she's just one of the greatest young millennials that you want to meet because she's got a good head on her shoulders, and she works hard. And I don't know what these young people are doing or thinking, so I rely on you for all of this stuff. But apparently Sesame Street is now going to start doing opioid commercials or something like that.
So Sesame Street they are kind of known for helping kids get through difficult times,
Okay.
When they're overcoming death or maybe, having one parent or like whatever it may be that kids are going through. And now they're starting to attack, kids that have parents that are addicted to drugs. So they're helping them with that now.
So why is this controversial?
I think if anything, I think it's a good thing.
Of course.
Think it's like, I think people find controversy in everything at this point, but it's one of those things where Sesame Street has always done difficult topics, and I think it's just them doing their thing.
Now, so we've been covering this China issue at length. We brought up earlier the issue with the NBA, where basically they're muting any criticism from any high-profile NBA officials regarding
even low-profile. The guy, nobody even knew who the general manager of the Houston Rockets was a few days ago.
And the NBA folded like a cheap camera. We've seen this in Hollywood. If you notice, what happens in Hollywood, because Hollywood wants access to the Chinese multi-billion-dollar markets, you either see them make in Hollywood movies, they either make the Chinese the heroes. Remember Independence Day? In the first Independence Day, the Americans were able to beat the aliens all by themselves. In the second Independence Day, they needed the Chinese. Remember The Martian? Who invented the technology that saved Matt Damon? It was the Chinese. Remember Arrival? Who saved the day at the end of that movie? It was the Chinese. Or if they don't make the Chinese the heroes, they end up getting censored. Like they censored Winnie the Pooh because they said he looked too much like Xi Jinping. They made them reshoot Red Dawn to make North Korea the villains instead of the Chinese. Now you've got to tell us what's happening with Apple and this app. What was this app and what's happening?
Right, so in Hong Kong, obviously there's a lot of protests going on, and there is an app that Apple approved. They weren't going to approve it. It's called HKMaps.live, and it basically tracks police, law enforcement, where they are, and the protesters are kind of abusing the app, and they're
I may seem like I'm getting uncomfortably close to you in this segment, but apparently your mic is not working properly, so I was trying to let you get a little of my mic. But, here's a funny thing about this NBA stuff. If you remember, when the state of North Carolina was pushing back on these transgender bathrooms, the NBA came out and made all these social statements about how they didn't want to have tournaments in North Carolina and all this other stuff. The NBA wants to be socially proper and all this other crap when it's here in the United States. And they take all these social stances and la 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 la. Adam Silver looked like a deer in headlights the other day.
Well, John, just I want folks to understand what they're doing with this Apple app, right? So just please, if you can, tell us exactly.
I was trying to distract from them coming on set to fix our microphone.
I get it. No, you're a pro.
Thank you.
That was great, John. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm not a Guinness Book of World Records holder like you and Frank, but
well, unfortunately,
I'm getting there.
We're gonna get you one, John.
I may do the longest broadcast ever for a non-Jewish person in a yarmulke.
I like that.
You think I can get in the Guinness Book of World Records on that?
Yes, definitely.
I think the Pope beat you to that.
Take us out of this segment. Tell us everything we need to know about the app.
Yeah, so long story short, Apple put up this app. It's very controversial because a lot of the police were getting attacked by what was going on with the app and everything. They took it down. The app is, the people that created the app is saying that they're basically that's their freedom of speech. They want to be able to, they're suppressing their freedom, all that kind of stuff. And then, but it's bad because Apple and China are like, well, you're attacking law enforcement. So that's basically it.
And if
Like,
God had a
very summed up.
podcast, she'd be hosting it.
Did Apple cave?
That's
Apple
for
cave?
doggone
Yes,
sure.
they did. That's like the whole thing.
And
I know.
we just breezed
Crazy.
right through hour 2, but we got one segment left. It's the WTF. What's the facts? And all the mistakes I made in today's show, Frankie points them out, highlights them, abuses me, humiliates me, and everyone laughs at John, and that's why I need therapy. We're going to come back right after this, take a quick break.